on this particular cat, there's a little tuft of hair up here at the base of the ear that we will do with swivel knife. But before we do that, I'd like to take the modeling tool and bevel around it slightly to get it to stand up a little bit. You'll see why we're doing this later when we do the swivel knife cutting. Adding the hair to our Cougar is a two-step process. We will use the hair blade tool, and we will use two figure carving tools. One is the F917 and the F918. We'll first use the herring tool, and we'll start here with the nose. Carefully study your figure carving pattern or the photo carve pattern to see which way the hair grows. And I'm doing it now on the nose, of course, and notice I'm doing short strokes. And this is how we can best emulate the cougar hair, or the fur, however you want to call it. But their fur is relatively short. Now, you'll notice that with most animals, the hair fall will be the direction it would go if there was rain or water dripping on it, and it would flow down along the body. For instance, here in the jawline, it would come up like this. So let's take our tool and begin texturing the jawline. Notice I'm starting out at the edge. I'm keeping all my strokes coming in this direction. And I'm doing short strokes. Now, for best results, it's a good idea to have your leather rather dry at this point. When we come back and do some stamping, it may be necessary to dampen it some more, but for now it's best to keep it relatively dry. And again, short strokes. And notice that my strokes are not straight line, they're kind of curved to follow the contour of the jawline in this case. I kind of come in a circle and then catch it on the back side. This will take a while, so take your time and make sure you get complete coverage as seen on your photo carve pattern. It may be necessary to turn it and get up in the areas where we've beveled. May be necessary to tip your tool forward when into these beveled areas. On the muzzle, I'm going to make my shorts. On the muzzle, I'm making my strokes a little bit shorter and not quite as deep. This is how our cat looks after we have done all of the work with the hair blade tool. We will now use the number F918 tool to complete the hairing process, and you'll notice I'm tipping it forward some so that I don't get the straight end of the tool to make an impression. And also note the direction of the lines. They are following the same directions that we had with the herring tool. Notice that I'm sort of walking it so that I don't create a pattern. We will do this to the entire part of the cat. To get a better idea of what we're doing here, study the photo carve pattern and you will see how we have done it. Make sure you go past the dotted line on the bottom so that it does not show. The moisture content of the leather is relatively dry at this point, so that we get the proper impression. Notice now as I'm getting close to the jaw, I'm tipping it back some so that I get good coverage in that area. Also, notice that I'm keeping the tool headed in the right direction. Please note in this area of the muzzle, I will start out lightly down here and then get a little heavier as I come up. We will do something a little different on the muzzle. On the nose, I'm going to use the number F917, which is a little bit smaller than the 918, and I will use that the same way on the nose, but since it is a smaller tool, please note that I am not hitting near as hard. And I'm leading it forward so that the heels do not dig in. Here again, very important to keep the direction of the hairs going the proper way. I have dampened my leather a little bit, and I've allowed it to dry for a few minutes, and now I'm bringing my tracing back in, and I've registered it very carefully And now with my stylus, I will trace the whiskers very carefully, making sure that they're in the proper position. On the other side, of course, we have the whiskers. We also have some whisker endings, I'll call them, and I'll just trace those with the point of my modeling stylus. And we have a few hairs up here above the eye. We'll trace those as well. Now we will take our swivel knife and we will very carefully cut the whiskers. Hang on to the knife because, as you can see here, we're going over areas where we have beveled and also stamped hair. So it will not be perfectly even like it was when we started. And here, the little whisker endings, just use the tip of your swivel knife to cut those in. And of course, we'll do the same thing to the whiskers on the other side. In this case, because of the position of the head, they appear to be coming out from behind the nose. Notice that I taper off slowly. We'll do the same thing with these hairs above the eye. And there you can see how the whiskers look after we have cut them. We're now going to use the swivel knife to create the hair endings on the top of the head and on other parts of the body. Notice it's just a very short cut coming in over the edge of where we've cut and beveled. We're attempting to show the hairs on the edge, not necessarily on the body. Make sure that you get them running in the right direction. Very short cuts, not real deep. Make sure you keep them flowing with the direction of the lines you made with the 9/18 stamping tool. Remember this little tuft of hair up by the ear? We'll now use the swivel knife and cut in from the outer edge of where we beveled it into the center. And that's all there is to making that little tuft of hair. Make sure you cut past the area where you did the beveling with the modeling tool.